The following is a Just Green production brought to you by the Might Be News Network.
What's up, everybody? It's the week of January 14th, 2019. This is Might Be Sports. My name is Taylor Cooper. With me, as always, Kevin Reavy. What's up, Kevin Reavy?
To quote my non-sports fan co-worker today, what time is the Eagles game this weekend?
CJ. Hi, CJ.
How's it going?
Happy New Year, everyone. Might Be Sports is back. Mid-season premiere week rolls on at the Might Be News Network. We're excited to be back. Well, I'm talking for myself. Kevin, are you excited to be back?
I'm almost there. I think by the end of this episode, I'll be pretty excited to be back.
CJ, are you so excited?
Depends what Kevin says next.
Could be anything.
So, we didn't have a show last week, which would have been very exciting because we could have been all
Full of hope
and double doinks and just incredible feelings. And we waited an extra week, and the season of the Philadelphia Eagles is over.
I will say the whole week I've been saying I'm not a fate guy. I don't believe that, movies, books, they exist because the narrative is predetermined. You create this great storyline that doesn't exist in real life. It was like, not to be like heartless or anything, but nothing really means anything on a grander scale, in my opinion. So it was all these great things that were happening to the Eagles were great individual moments that should be celebrated individually, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
I was at the Houston game. That was awesome. The LA game before that was amazing.
Yeah.
The Bears playoff game, incredible. The Redskins game where we're waiting on the Bears to win was incredible.
Yeah.
All those are four great moments, but people took them to mean that, this must mean
We're going back.
We're on to great things this year.
Yeah.
No, it all means nothing as far as that's concerned. But it was a great run. This was one of the most enjoyable seasons the Eagles maybe ever put together.
I don't know. I was out on the Eagles right after the blowout loss to the Cowboys, as you probably remember on the show. I was very upset about it. And I can honestly say that I was blown away by the turnaround that the secondary had. What's his name? Cravon LeBlanc. The kid can play some football. Some no-name people.
I think I made a joke on the show.
You did.
That it was a bunch of guys like from Harry Potter.
Right.
Like these names were ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
how are we going to win when we've got Cravon LeBlanc back there? And look at him. He's making really good open field tackles on Kamara. That was a good play towards the end of that game last week. And I mean, and obviously the interception to begin the game.
And I think
huge.
Hogwarts Malfoy, he's been playing really good in the secondary too.
Yeah.
You can't put it. I mean, he's been lights out since December.
No, he's been doing really, really good.
So I mean, take that for what it's worth. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Nick Foles takes over and the whole team turns around. But I think it was the whole team was primed for a turnaround. I think they would have done it with Wentz too. Wentz just wasn't ready this whole year. He was still kind of hurt. And I think moving forward, those kind of mobile quarterbacks, we're better off with Wentz if he's healthy.
Yeah.
The big if. But Foles is a huge talent. And it's so funny today. I'm listening on the radio saying if the Eagles were to re-sign Wentz or re-sign Foles and try to trade him or put him under some sort of, 1-year deal or, franchise tag kind of situation, that they would only get like a second round pick. And I'm like, oh my, we went through this last year.
Right.
Where a team only offered a second round pick and we balked. And now they're saying second round pick again. When are you going to give this guy the respect he deserves? He's a first round pick quarterback. If you want Nick Foles, who's going to be 30 years old next year, which means he's got at least 5 great years left.
Yeah.
If you believe he's great, which I think he's proven he is.
I think he is.
Yeah, I think so.
5 years, you're not going to give up a first-round pick? You know what? If you're the Giants, the Redskins, the Jaguars, you don't deserve a good quarterback if you're not willing to give up a first-round pick for this guy.
I agree, especially with the weak quarterback class that's coming out in this draft this year. It's not a crazy draft this year as far as quarterbacks are concerned. So if you're Jacksonville, Washington, the Giants, or even the Denver Broncos, you've got to be able to put something together to get this guy. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I just know in my gut he won't be here next year. He won't be an Eagle next year.
I would say it's
one way or the other. It's done.
90% chance he's not here next year.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything, I think the Eagles are going to be willing to give him the chance to hit free agency. Nick Foles wants to be wined and dined. He wants the free agency experience. He's never had it. He's 30 years old. He's been either with the Eagles or traded. He's never had the chance to prove where he gets to go next. And that's a big thing for a player because this is the last chance he's ever going to get that, really.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You think.
Yeah.
The only chance he's ever going to get that again is if it doesn't work out with the next team and then he's deciding where he wants to back up next. If he wants to back up next. So,
right.
So this is it.
Right.
So I get that part. But do you want to... I don't know. Sometimes I think in life, you look forward to like this one experience. You don't think long term. So I think he's looking forward to like the free agency experience and all that. But to be honest, it's a month of his life.
Right.
Where he gets to be wined and dined and all this stuff. And then it's over.
Yeah.
And then he's with the team, whatever. What's the difference, really, if he gets traded to the team he wants to go to or if he signs as a free agent? What's the difference? If all the money works out the same, what's the difference? And in the end, he gets to help out the Eagles.
Right.
So if it could work out that way, that would be great for us as Eagles fans. But, we'll see how it plays out. I think they're just going to let him go and just
I think he's
plays
just going to go.
way.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't know. Carson Wentz needs to learn Nick Foles' little pizzazz in the locker room to motivate everybody.
Yeah, I feel like before he got hurt last year, I feel like he had that locker room right where he wanted it to be. And I think that Nick Foles came in and just carried that momentum. He's a familiar face to a lot of those guys. He knew the plays. He knew everything. So just kind of like didn't skip a beat. Plus, he has different characteristics that help him succeed. For example, the long ball. Much better long ball from Nick Foles than Carson Wentz, especially this year. Whereas Carson Wentz is a better out-of-pocket passer. So it was just a slightly different game, but realistically, it was all the same. And it was the next guy up, underdog mentality that I think really carried them, and didn't just carry them, but propelled them through the playoffs last year and through the Super Bowl. And I think this year was just different. They played with a different chip on their shoulder this year. I felt like what you said, Carson Wentz wasn't ready all year. I feel like they rushed him back. He missed an entire offseason with a brand new offensive coordinator. And I think that as a young quarterback who was coming back from a major injury like that, plus your backup is the reigning Super Bowl MVP with a whole city breathing down your neck to outdo that. I think that you remove Nick Foles from the situation. You put Carson Wentz in a full camp, full training, everything, off season. I think that we come back with a revamped atmosphere, revamped attitude in the locker room. That's how I feel next year. I think that you're going to see Carson Wentz really come out and shine because he's going to have that layer of pressure taken off of him. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. But I also want Carson Wentz to get some training with Tony Robbins. Because Doug Peterson and Nick Foles seem to do well on that stage from what I heard, all those people that are Tony Robbins fans.
Well, that's age too, and I think that plays into it.
Yeah.
I think the reason why Nick Foles was or had so much command over that team is because they recognize that he's a veteran. I mean, one of the oldest guys on the team. Let's face it, in the NFL, if you're 29 years old, you're the elder statesman. You've been around a while, and he had been. Carson Wentz, a lot of guys in that team either, came up at the same time or had a few years in the league prior to him. So they don't see him the same way as they see Foles. It's a different dynamic. It's like, it's just, who do you want to lead your team? And I think ideally, if you're going to run a team, you would want that young, athletic, up-and-coming quarterback, and you want the older guy as the backup. Because when worse comes to worse, you want a guy that's got experience in the league, and he's got years behind him to say, hey, I've earned this time. I've earned this position. Rally around me. Let's get this done.
Right.
So, Nick Foles had that working for him. And I think all Carson needs is time.
Yeah.
He could be just as good. He already is as good as Foles, but he can get everything accomplished Foles did, but there's no substitute for time. Foles just had it. Yeah. Wentz didn't have the opportunity yet. Now he's going to be 3 years in the league. Well, 3 years done. It's going to be his fourth year. That's going to pay dividends. He's going to be 100% healthy. I'm looking forward to see what he can do. I think the they're going way too far into this running quarterback thing.
Yeah.
Murray coming out 5'9", dodging. I guess we'll talk about this at some point. Not to get too in depth over that, but not going to Major League Baseball, going to enter the draft at 5'9". I think that's insane.
Yeah.
The running quarterback thing doesn't work.
Right.
They get hurt. You need a guy that can mix and match like Carson Wentz. He's the future of the NFL. He just needs to get healthy.
Right. I agree. I suppose the big remaining question for the Eagles is free agency. I mean, we got a lot of they got a lot of players that are eligible for free agency, and it'll be interesting to see, who comes back and who doesn't. It's all part of the business. But that's one thing I want to talk to Andrew DiCecco about in the second half of the show. We're going to talk to him on the phone. He's down in Florida for the East-West Shrine game on Saturday. So we're going to talk some college football with Andrew, and we're going to talk a little bit of Eagles free agency and things of that nature. I want to touch on, we'll break out of our Homer shell here. I want to talk about the remaining teams in the NFL playoffs. There's a really good schedule of games this weekend. Kansas City hosting the New England Patriots' 8th straight AFC championship game.
Giddy for this game.
Are you? I am too, actually.
I can't wait.
I'm saying Chiefs.
I'm saying Chiefs too.
Snow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying Chiefs with your heart, but if you just saw what happened last week.
Yeah, Tom Brady made that shitty video with the 50 Cent song. that officially. No, I did not wish death upon Tom Brady before I saw that, but now I do.
So Brady,
now I'm one of many men.
Tom Brady's
wish death upon him.
Also trying to harness this underdog mentality. Did you see have you heard the soundbite after the game last weekend where he's like, well, everybody thinks we suck and we can't win any football games. Motherfucker, you're going to your 8th straight AFC championship game. I don't want to hear this shit. Right. You have more Super Bowls than anybody else on the planet. I don't want to hear this shit. I don't give a fuck if Stephen A. Smith said something bad about you one day. That does not give you the fucking right to go out there and be like, well, everybody thinks we suck. Shut the fuck up and sit down. Oh, I hate his guts.
All right, so
all right. So two of us wish death upon him right now.
A correlation there. So 8 straight conference championship games.
Yeah.
Who does that remind you of currently in professional sports?
I can't think of anybody.
Maybe basketball related.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. The Golden State Warriors. Yeah.
No. I'm saying LeBron James.
Oh, LeBron James. Okay.
I don't know if he's gone to 8 straight finals, but
it's
feels
8, right? No, it has been
it
a
feels
bunch.
about right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So-
it's been 8 straight, has it?
I don't know if it's been exactly.
I think it has
straight.
been 8.
CJ, look
yeah,
that up.
can you look that up? Because I'm pretty sure it's been 8.
My point is, when I saw the video that Tom Brady put out, that CJ was alluding to, like the workout video while he's in the gym, this is what LeBron James is famous for. I don't think this was a coincidence. He was channeling LeBron James. He's just really, really bad at it. It came off insanely corny. Not, I mean, when LeBron James does it, it's cool.
Right.
And it seems
To somebody.
authentic.
To somebody. Let me just tell you, I'm not a fan of LeBron James or his stupid videos, especially since he didn't come to Philly this year. Fuck him. And no, I do agree that Tom Brady's just a terrible actor. Like he's not
Really
funny.
bad.
He's not funny. And that's what makes, honestly, that's what put
He's
Peyton up
so
there.
famous.
Peyton
that
is hilarious. Peyton Manning's hilarious.
Right.
He's hilarious.
he's grounded.
He was the
Tom
face
Brady
of the
is
NFL.
so famous, he doesn't know how to be genuine.
Right. He's like a robot. He is. He's like a robot.
And
Like,
when
kisses his kids way too long.
And when you get him in genuine situations, he makes out
On
with
the
his
lips.
children.
On the lips. Fucking weirdo. I hate his guts.
It's so
Oh,
strange.
I hope Patrick Mahomes eats them for
But
breakfast.
that's what's insane. So I always tell people all the time, and still to this day, I root for the Patriots because of those 2 Super Bowls. I'm an Eagles fan. I can't stand the Giants or the Cowboys. Those 2 Super Bowls versus the Giants. I was the biggest Patriots fan in the world. I did not want the Giants, especially Eli Manning, that fucking guy.
Yeah.
I did not want them or him to win a Super Bowl. They did it twice. So,
Once ruining
Just-
their perfect season.
and yeah, the Patriots beat the Eagles in 2004. That sucked.
Right.
But more recently was the Giants Super Bowls. And last year we beat the Patriots. Why would I hate the Patriots? They helped us win a Super Bowl. So still, I don't hate them.
Yeah. I hate him.
So I still root for them.
So Kevin, you're right with LeBron.
8 straight, right? Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't know if anybody's talking about it, but that's the first thing I thought when I saw it was this is like a LeBron James kind of thing.
Well,
and
Stops at 8. I'll tell you that right
it's
now.
not authentic. It's because somebody probably told him the same thing, saying, "Hey, you're going to 8 straight. LeBron James does this thing, and you should probably go out to the gym and do like a selfie video." And then he probably worked with like some script writers. It took like 2 weeks to put together. They
And then they had to get the
workshopped it.
rights for the song, and
Let me tell you something about the Patriots' 8 straight AFC championships, right? That's at least 2 years that they should have fucking switched with the Browns in the divisions. Have I told you this? Have I told
What
you
do you
about
mean?
this? This is what I've wanted to happen for years. Ready for this? This is going to blow your mind. I think that the Patriots and the Cleveland Browns should switch divisions. You heard it here. That's what I'm telling you right now.
Why?
Who fucking cares? Who cares what division you're in? The Dallas Cowboys are in the East, okay? I don't care what division people are in. If put the Patriots in the same division as the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's 4 games a year that you don't know if they're going to win or not. That's a division that you don't know if they're even
but
going to
then
win
you're
that
just-
division.
You're stacking one division, and then you got like the
Meanwhile,
Browns,
you got the
and
Browns.
Buccaneers, like the worst teams. You're just like you want to create like a shitty division and have like the best of the shitty teams.
Maybe.
That could be cool.
boosting
go-
ratings. Boosting ratings.
I mean, who wouldn't want to see the Patriots play the Steelers 2 times a year? Or the Ravens 2 times a year? Or the Bengals 2 times a year? Or as opposed to playing the Dolphins, the Bills? Who else is in that stupid division? Who?
Jets.
The Jets. Who fucking cares?
That just made me think: what if
Oh, it's horrible.
somehow we created one more playoff spot? I don't know how it would work. It wouldn't work out mathematically, but just go with me on
They get
this.
2 buys.
Just go with me on this. It doesn't make sense mathematically, but just go with me. So the first team out, which would have been the Vikings this year, they play the team in the NFL with the worst record.
to see who can.
And that team makes the playoffs.
Wow. The extra wild card.
You could have the team with the worst record in the NFL make the playoffs. And It would be kind of cool.
Wow, that
You'd
would be
never
kinda
be
cool.
out of it.
Yeah,
It would take tanking to a whole new level.
It would be like hockey.
Awesome.
Like, well, if we can't get there by winning, we might as well try to get there by losing. Like Christmas time, they're just like, all right, lose everything. We could still make it.
This is a plot of a Disney sports movie.
I love it. I love it.
Keanu Reeves would star as the coach.
All right, so just
As the coach, really.
so let's
Well,
do,
he's old.
let's do picks quick then. I got Kansas. Oh, whoa. We didn't talk about the other game really. We got like 10 minutes before break. The Rams versus the Saints.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up for me.
I think both teams, it feels like a shame because both teams are not playing their best football
No,
right
they're
now.
not. They're not.
I don't think they're the best representatives of the NFC right now. I don't think I'm being a homer saying the Eagles are the best team in the NFC right now. Maybe. I do think if that game is played at a neutral field, the Eagles beat the Saints easily. They shot themselves in the foot time and time again. The Saints are trending down. The Rams are trending down. They already lost to the Eagles once. They barely beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys are trash.
True. I don't know.
I don't
Honestly,
think these...
I thought the best team in the NFC got kicked out by us in the first round, the Bears. I like the Bears a lot this year. I thought their defense was way better than the way that they played Wild Card Weekend.
Trubisky was just...
He's young. He's inexperienced.
Like the Saints, he was trending down. He couldn't
Right.
keep up the momentum he had going earlier in the year.
Right. I mean, you're absolutely correct. The Eagles, I would say, were the hottest team in the NFC.
Right. And I'm just saying, who was
For
the
sure.
best team like
That
right
most
now?
momentum.
I think, and how can he really deny it?
Yeah.
The Eagles beat L.A., Houston, Chicago, and then went toe-to-toe. If Alshon Jeffrey catches that pass,
Yeah.
I mean, which, by the way, I wanted to touch on real quick,
Mhm.
and I don't want to make a big thing about this. We spent way too much time on the damn game. I don't understand why Doug Peterson didn't let the clock go down to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was like he was saving time, wanted to get one more play off. They were already in the red zone. It seemed like they were going to score. You want to leave as little time as possible for Drew Brees to come back. I think part of the reason why he dropped that pass was it was a weird, quick play. They had a hurry up offense at a time it was strange too, because normally you would be pulling back. You would call a play. Was it first down? I think. I mean, you had plenty of time. It'd be second down at the latest.
What do you think? What do you think? Like the crowd, just the game got to Doug? Do you think it just like got away from him, like mentally?
I have no idea. I mean, I haven't listened to the commentary. Maybe I'm totally wrong. It just seems logical. You'd want it to go down to the 2 minute warning, so your next play takes time off the clock.
Right. That, and you have an extra little bit to figure out what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. What other sense does it make if you're running a play quickly before the 2 minute warning? You're trying to save time, but they should not have been in save time mode.
Yeah.
So I think that was a mistake.
Yeah. No,
And
I
you
agree.
add all.
When I
Alshon
watched that, I was like, "What
he
is
has
he doing?"
great hands, but
Yeah.
it was a quick play. It was ran extremely quick.
Yeah.
You got a laser thrown over the middle. And I mean, I think you could run that same exact play if he's got 20 more seconds to prepare for it. It's a catch.
Yeah.
It was just a weird situation. I couldn't believe they were running the play.
CJ, can you pull up the spreads for these games this weekend?
Yeah.
Because I want to guess the spreads. This is pretty much the last guess the spreads, unless we do the guess the spread for the Super Bowl, which
That's
is one
true.
game.
So-
which is dumb.
It's going to be Chiefs it's at
It's
Kansas
at
City.
Kansas City. Yeah.
So, all right, I'll throw out the first guess for this one. I'm going to say it's going to be snowing, and I think that might have moved the line because Tom Brady, I had heard something like quote unquote inclement weather. He's the best quarterback of all time. Something like 13-1, 13-2.
Ugh.
I mean, facts are
I
facts.
hate his guts.
So that moves it towards that side. They say 3 points for home field, or is it 2? 3?
I think it's 3.
So 3. I'm going to say -3. Kansas City. I'm saying this is a neutral game.
I'm going. I think Kansas City wins by a touchdown.
Chiefs -3.
Yeah. Nailed it.
All right, so I'll do.
But I like the Pats there because I think
the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win everything.
I would bet Pats.
I think Andy Reid gets his championship.
I bet that line goes down. I bet that's going to be like -2
You think?
at least. That could be a pick by game time.
I'm going Saints by 3.
Saints by 3. I don't. That's a good question. I don't know. Was that a? It's hard to see it from the lens of the national public, because I'm not that impressed with the Saints, but is everybody else? I'm going to go -4. I think everybody else is more impressed with the Saints than we are.
Saints -3.5.
Oh, we split it.
Fuck.
I was kind of on the right path there.
But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Andrew DiCecco about some things. And we'll also, I want to dip into the NBA a little bit, at least go through some of the standings, because it's officially Sixer season for me, as you can see by my Jimmy B jersey.
No, they can't see.
Christmas present from my wonderful wife, Jackie. Shout out, Jackie, on the couch, as always. Yeah, so Might Be Sports. We'll be right back after this. Everybody go check out the all-new episode of Let's Talk About It Tomorrow, exclusively on the Might Be News Network. This week, I sit down with the two very funny guys that host Joe Schmo Radio. It's outstanding stuff. We talk about politics and religion, all kinds of different stuff. So check it out. Might Be Brews on Friday as well. It's mid-season premiere week. We're doing it big at the Might Be News Network. Might Be Tunes coming soon. We're bugging out, doing all kinds of crazy shit. All right, we're back. Might Be Sports. I'm Taylor Cooper, Kevin Reevy, CJ. And on the line, we've got friend of the show, he's been a multiple-time guest now. He's basically our NFL insider.
That's right.
Andrew DiCecco. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing well, guys. How you guys doing?
Great. Thank you so much for being on with us.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
So you're down in Florida for the East-West Shrine game. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, it's awesome. This is the 94th year that they've had it. They've had some good turnouts. Some guys that have been in it are Cravon LeBlanc on the Eagles, and
Wow.
Kenny Galladay. They've had Dane Krushak from the Tennessee Titans, who is a contributing player for them. And they've had Philip Lindsay, who broke out this year as a rookie.
Okay, that's awesome. Very great. So when is the game?
The game's Saturday at 3:00. So they have 2 practices every day leading up to Thursday, and then there's a break on Friday where it's like a day off, and then they have a banquet at night. Then the game's at Saturday afternoon.
And this is like East versus West type deal?
Yeah. So the East players they practice in the morning, and then you get the West that go 2:30 in the afternoon, and they usually go for about 2 hours of practice.
Okay, so this is in the end scheme of this, is this more or less like another audition besides the combine for these guys, just to kind of be able to get out there and get in front of some eyeballs before the draft?
Yeah, it is. So basically, with the strong performance in this game, a lot of these guys they have the opportunity to get an invite to the combine. So right now you're looking at a lot of guys that may be like day 3 that could play their way into day 2 conversation here.
Okay.
There's a lot of NFL GMs and executives here. Mike Mayock I spoke to. Reggie McKenzie, the former Oakland Raiders GM, I spoke to down here. Doug Williams, of course, the former Washington Redskins quarterback, who's now a senior vice president to player personnel. He's down here. And Bucky Brooks. Like, there's a lot of people here evaluating these guys, so the pressure's on them to perform.
So if you had to pick one or two guys from this entire game, you've been covering this for a few days now. Who's from your conversations, from the things that you've seen yourself, who's the one guy or maybe two guys that stand out that might be, someone to watch in the NFL draft coming up?
I'll give you a few because there's too many. I would say, not to sound like a homer, but Michael Dogley from Temple. He's a defensive tackle. He's about 280 pounds. He's strong. He gets a lot of push up the middle. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, Mike Patterson, if you guys remember him. Mm-hmm. And he's just causing fits for it. There's no lineman that can really hold him. And he kind of stuck out to me. I had Doug Williams asked me who I thought stuck out, and I said Michael Dogley, and he chuckled. He said he didn't look good against Duke in the bowl game. He's like, he needs to step it up here. He's got potential, though. So I would say him. And there's a corner who I talked to today named Blaise Brown from Troy University. He's actually friends with Sidney Jones, he told me. He's a corner, and he could play nickel. He could play safety. He said he couldn't if he had to. Just like he's level-headed kid. He told me he likes to bring energy, not just when things are going well. He said that's easy. He goes, I want to bring energy and, get guys going when things aren't going well. And, just to hear that coming from a young player, you kind of get an idea where his mind's at. And he seems, it almost sounded like a veteran talking to him.
And his name is Blaise Brown. I mean, that's
Blaise Brown. Yeah.
That's an NFL star. So, I mean, he's got that going for him. Too many times I see a guy named Tom Smith, and I just can't, he can't be good.
CJ, look up if there's one Tom Smith playing in the NFL.
So Blaise Brown, I'm excited about Blaise Brown.
Blaise Brown was good, and there's actually a receiver I talked to today. He's 6'5". He has the exact body type of Devin Funchess, which is what I told him. He even wore the same number, but Jamal Custis from Syracuse. He's actually from South Philly. And
sorry, we were looking up Tom Smiths in the NFL. There's currently 0.
Well,
that's not surprising.
There hasn't been one since 1973.
Well, yeah. Guys named Tom Smith don't typically play, cornerback in the NFL.
No, definitely not. No, but that's very, very interesting stuff that you're down there and you're covering all these players. We didn't mean to interrupt you. What are a couple more players that you've got your eye on down there?
A guy that I think that he's really going to start to make waves, and he should get a lot of interest locally. He's actually from South Philly, but he went to Syracuse. His name is Jamal Custis. He's a 6'5", 215-pound receiver, just dominated on one-on-one drills. And I got a chance to talk to him today. Me and him knew a little bit about the same spots. He was familiar with Westchester, and I got a chance to kind of talk to him about. I mean, this guy had 13 catches through 3 seasons. So I asked him. I said, "How all of a sudden did you go from 13 catches in 3 years and you explode for 51 catches in your senior year?" So he kind of talked to me about injuries and coaching changes, and he said it also had to do with him developing as a player and maturing. So he said I asked him, I said, "What are you trying to run in the 40s?" And he said, "I think I can get in the low 4.4s. So if you get a 6'5" guy,
that's crazy,
with an Alshon Jeffrey body type that could run a low 4.4, I mean, he might be a guy to watch.
Yeah, that's lightning fast.
Dude, Andrew's the guy you want at your NFL draft party who knows these players drafted in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round you've never heard of. And Andrew's like, "What do you mean? You never heard of Blaise Brown? Let me tell you everything about him."
I mean, they have some cool guys here. I talked to the running back from LSU today. I talked to a wide receiver from Auburn today. There's a kid here from Georgia who's a wideout that I hope to talk to tomorrow. So there's a lot of talent in this game. So I hope that a lot of people check it out because a lot of these guys will be on NFL rosters. I can assure you that.
Yeah, free agent walk-ons or undrafted.
Preferred, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's very cool. That's very cool that they're down there. I wanted to talk to you about Obviously, the heartbreaker in New Orleans over the weekend was a tough game. Kevin and I and CJ have been talking a lot about it in this episode. But what did you take away from that game? More importantly, what did you take away from this season?
Well, the season was kind of odd. It was a really weird season. It had like highs and lows, and you drop games that you should have won, and you win games you really had no business winning. It was just kind of one of those things where they got healthy and they started surging towards the end of the season, but at the same time, it wasn't enough to get it done against the Saints. You get off. The team had a problem all year with taking their foot off the gas and or not being able to produce points, at the finished games, I should say. And you saw that against the Saints. They came out on fire and they couldn't finish the game. You punch it. You can't just punch a team like the Saints in the mouth once. You have to punch them in the mouth the entire game because you're going to hit them once and they're going to come back. I went into it thinking, if the Eagles win the coin toss, I think they should take the ball because the Saints haven't played the game in almost 3 weeks. So the
Right.
Eagles were red hot. So you want to take the ball and score, and you want to make those couple possessions count and put points up because eventually the Saints will wake up and they'll put up 20 points easily. So,
Right.
I mean, it was just one of those things where, they didn't have enough that day. I do think the Eagles were the better team, which is what made me so angry and kind of, frustrated with the whole thing is that on paper and on the field, the Eagles had more talent on the field than the Saints did, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what we were just saying is that.
Yeah.
At least I was saying I'm way more enthusiastic about the Chiefs Patriots game than I am about the Rams Saints because I feel like both
too.
the Rams and the Saints are trending down.
They are, man. They
I
hit
am
their
racking.
stride.
Right. Go ahead.
They hit their stride, too early. You see that all the time. Historically, you used to see that with the Chiefs. They used to come out on fire, and then all of a sudden they kind of trickle out.
Good
But
point.
now you saw that with the Rams and the Saints. We caught the Saints in Week 11 when they were peaking, and they didn't put up 48 on us this time because they kind of hit that. They kind of started fading out.
Right. I was saying that I don't know if I could give the Eagles the edge for the better team on Sunday, but I would definitely give them the edge for the hottest team. The most forward momentum. I think that they matched up well, and I think that the score represented that. It's a shame that the Eagles couldn't capitalize on a number of situations throughout that game that, there was a lot of plays in that game that would have swayed it in our direction for the win. It just didn't happen. I've been saying all season how difficult it was to watch the secondary, the way that it was just deteriorating and falling apart due to injuries. And I think that the Eagles got some of that chemistry that they needed from these young players to get them where they got. But it just, in the end, I think that the crowd really did them in. That stadium really did them in. And
I agree with that.
Really,
Yep.
the fake punt took everything out of
that
all
fake
the wind
punt,
out of the sails.
I was watching the game here at one of the local bars, and there's actually a lot of Eagles fans there. And I turned to somebody and I was like, "That fake punt right there tells you that Sean Payton was scared. He felt the game slipping away.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you're not used to seeing somebody like Sean Payton do that because he's kind of arrogant. He doesn't think he needs to do anything like that. Aside from that onside kick in the Super Bowl, but he felt the game slipping away, and he knew the Eagles were red hot at that time. And then to touch on your point about the secondary, I know Kevin knows this and has seen my work on Trey Sullivan and Cravon LeBlanc. Those are two guys that if they don't step up down the stretch like they did against the Rams, the Texans, and the Washington Redskins,
Yeah,
the Eagles don't make the playoffs.
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
It doesn't happen. And because they had to defend, guys like Brandon Cooks. They had to do Robert Woods, DeAndre Hopkins, Demaryius Thomas. And then they had the Giants game where they had to face Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. So every game that they were facing from week 12 on was like a single game elimination, and they rose to the occasion, and all they got was like hatred, and they got so many fans talking bad about them on social media just because they don't know who they are and they're not familiar with them, so they automatically think that they're not good or they don't have any talent. But like I said, the Eagles don't make the playoffs without those guys stepping up.
For sure.
I always said that you can't minimize the importance of team chemistry and leadership, and team chemistry right there. If they all came together and they got the job done.
Yeah, it was an incredible transition from week 11, week 12 to where they ended up against the Saints this past weekend, because you saw, by getting absolutely dredged by the Saints and then getting smacked by the Cowboys, it was just basically like 3rd and 14. Who cares?
Right.
We got this, and it was really hard to watch. And the transition from what that was to where they ended up was just incredible. I'm really proud of those young players, especially the ones that you were mentioning. We were talking about Crayvon LeBlanc earlier in the show and how crazy he was playing in the playoffs. It was nuts. He's probably
going to be a starter next year.
Yeah,
in the slot.
Yeah, he could be. I wanted to talk to you about some free agency stuff. I think I've read something. There's 17 players that might leave. Is that something like that?
And then Jason Kelsey might retire. That's the new talk now. He might be out.
Really?
But I think at the end of the day,
you think
he's going to do at least one more.
You think one more?
I think he'll do at least one more go around. I agree.
What do you think? Are there some players that come to mind that are going to leave for sure? Are there some? Yeah. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to pick. Do you want Golden Tate or do you want Nelson Aguilar? Because their contracts are up, and and Jordan Matthews' contract's up as well. So you have a need there at slot receiver. They're gonna have to make a decision. I think. I mean, you got the sense that Golden Tate said, he goes, "I'm not necessarily leaving for more money. I want to go to a team that's a winner." So if you read between the lines there, you could tell he wants to stay. I don't know if the fit is necessarily here. If you're asking me, I would go Nelson Aguilar. I would just keep him. He seems to work well with the quarterback that we have, and he seems to be a fit for the offense. I would go with him, but I think Brandon Graham may walk.
Yeah.
Because he's the kind of guy at the position that would command a lot of money.
Right.
Exactly.
I agree with you. I would go with Aguilar over Golden Tate as well. I do feel.
And it's very telling that one of my guys who's a reporter, who's a beat writer for the Eagles, he said, Brandon Graham on his way out of the locker room on their last day when they were cleaning out their lockers, he gave every reporter a hug and a handshake and said thank you. He said just in case. So they all kind of got the sense that maybe he won't be back.
Right.
And maybe he knows that.
What are some other ones? When is
I think Darby might be gone too, to be honest.
You think so?
But that's a guy I think they're prepared to let go, because at this point they're used to playing without him. And there are some intriguing guys. Avonte Maddox being one. I mean, he's kind of like, he was thrust onto the national spotlight as, he was exposed at times in the Chicago game, but it's one of those things. No rookie cornerback ever does well. Like, it's an extremely difficult position. So you're going to get beat with double moves, whatever it is. You're going to get beat from time to time. But he shows some insane promise.
So I think the secondary next year is going to look something like, you're going to have Jenkins, and I think you're going to have Maddox at safety instead of McLeod. And I think you're going to have Rasul Douglas and Jalen Mills at corner with Crayvon LeBlanc in the nickel, or you're going to have him and Sidney Jones kind of battling out for that third role.
And that seems solid.
I think Darby walks.
I think that's smart. Like, why wouldn't you would want Darby to leave at that point?
Yeah.
Why would you that seems like a solid group right there, really solid.
Yeah, and then you look at linebacker, Jordan Hicks' contract's up. What I would do with him is I would give him like a 1-year prove-it deal, or I would make Nigel Bradham, who seems to play well in the middle, I would leave him in the middle and, kind of maybe draft a young linebacker to play on the outside, or Camus he's fine on the weak side anyway. So
do you re-sign Carson Wentz this offseason? Because that's like one of the things, right? Like this is the year where you would like re-sign your quarterback and not make him like a lame duck into the final year for whatever reason.
Well, the thing is he hasn't been healthy for all 3 years. So how can you justify shelling out that kind of money?
Yeah.
For somebody who hasn't even played in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And you don't want to give up that cash either. I think Carson would get it as long as he gets the main job and he knows that Nick Foles is not going to be breathing down his neck. He's going to be happy. And at the end of the year, at the very worst case scenario, he's getting the franchise tag.
What do you think? I have two more questions for you, Andrew, before we let you go. One is, what do you think is going to happen with the Carson Wentz, Nick Foles situation?
Well, they kind of clarified that a little bit today, as if there was any question about it. Doug Peterson said, Carson Wentz is our quarterback moving forward.
Right.
But, I mean, I think Nick Foles gets traded. I mean, I think there's plenty of teams that could use him. I think that you could look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, you could look at the New York Giants even. I hope not, but I mean, you could look at a team like that.
But they have to re-sign him to make it happen.
Yeah, I know. They would have to re-sign to make it happen. And I don't know. It's kind of hard to let somebody like that walk. And it just, did all that for you. And, when you could have at least gotten something for him. But, I mean, yeah, I know they're really confident and they like Nate Sudfeld a lot. But, I think that they go with Carson and Nate Sudfeld to answer your question. And I think Foles ends up with the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think I've been saying the Broncos too. That's
actually a good prediction too.
Because they need somebody. They've needed somebody.
Yeah, but are they in total rebuild mode where it wouldn't even make sense? Like they should be playing towards 2021.
They do have a lot of aging players on that defense. I think a team like Jacksonville, who has a young defense right now, and they're hitting their prime years. I think they need a quarterback who has won and is ready to win now, in order for that coach to save his job.
Hey, Blake Bortles could be our backup quarterback next year in Philadelphia.
Oh, he's terrible. He's awful.
My last question for you before we let you go is: what are your main targets in the draft position-wise for the Eagles? Like, what do they need the most?
Well, I thought about this long and hard today, and I'm going to say defensive end has to be a big one. I mean, you look at the age of Michael Bennett. You look at if you let Brandon Graham walk, you look, Chris Long may retire. You always have Derek Barnett, and he's coming off injury. And Josh Sweat, I mean, he played at like a handful of snaps this year and wasn't very effective. So you can't go into the season, counting on that. So I think you need to add a young defensive end. And, I mean, you do need a defensive tackle, because I don't know if you can depend on Tim Jernigan to stay healthy consistently, or if he's going to be a guy that, misses a game here, a game there, and definitely offensive tackle.
There's a lot of good defense in this draft this year. So I agree, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the draft. We're definitely ahead of ourselves, but I did have one more question for you. What are your predictions for the games this weekend, Andrew? What do you think's who's gonna be in the Super Bowl?
Well, it's kind of funny to think how far it's come that, like, out of the 4 teams remaining, that the Patriots are the biggest long shot. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say Chiefs, and I think it's gonna be Chiefs Saints. I want it to be Chiefs Rams because I have that bitter taste in my mouth from the way the Saints won, and I don't like Sean Payton at all. But I think it's going to be Chiefs Saints.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And also about the Sean Payton, I'm not a Sean Payton fan, but I am a Drew Brees fan. I'd like to see him get another one, I suppose, but I would prefer to see Andy get his first one. It's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, me too.
I think Patrick Mahomes is absolutely incredible. I'd like to see something good happen out there. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us tonight on Might Be Sports and taking the time out of what you're doing down there in Florida. Again, Saturday at 3:00 on NFL Network, the East-West Shrine game. Andrew, thanks so much, man.
My pleasure, guys. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
All right.
All right. So that was Andrew DiCecco, our NFL insider. It's crazy. CJ, can you get ready to do a couple rapid fire stories before we do go to the week?
By the way, I think it's going to be Pats Rams.
You do?
I really do. And I'm hoping it ends up being that, but I do think that's what it's going to be. It's not to like pat myself on the back, but I did have a moment on this show where several weeks back, months back, whatever it was, when I said the Rams could be had because Cooper Kupp might have been an important cog to that team. And it turns out I was kind of right. I mean, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but it turned out to be right. He was very important to that team. When Cooper Kupp went down, they were mortal. They were immortal before. They could not be stopped on offense. Now they were struggling to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Cowboys were a mirage. They weren't that good. They didn't beat anyone that good.
Does Jason Garrett keep his job?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, they were already working on an extension. That's done. But the only reason why I think the Rams win this game is because that's how much of a fraud I think the Saints are.
Yeah.
I'm not that impressed with the Saints. And I think the Rams still have more weapons than the Saints do on offense and defense. You look player for player. On paper, the Rams are impressive.
Yeah, they are.
Of course, you would take Breeze over Goff, but Goff is still a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah.
And just player for player, every other position, I'll take Rams overall. So I think they can win that game for sure.
What do you think, CJ? Who's going to the Super Bowl, CJ?
I want to say Rams and Chiefs.
Okay. We'll see who's.
I'd be cool with that.
We'll see. I'd be cool with it too.
I just don't want to see the Saints in the Super Bowl. I don't think they proved themselves to be a Super Bowl contending team.
Tell you who I don't want to see in the
But
Super Bowl.
prove me wrong.
I don't want to see the fucking Patriots in the Super Bowl. I'm sick of it.
I'm cool with that though too. Because
sick of it.
But you know why it's great to see that? Because so many people have opinions like that, and it raises the tension and people that would otherwise have no opinion about the game when you're at the Super Bowl party
Right.
hate the Patriots so much. It creates an energy. It's fucking fun to play off of.
It gives me anxiety. It does.
One of the best Super Bowls two of the best Super Bowl parties I was ever at. Patriots, Seahawks, when they pulled that crazy comeback thing, the goal line interception. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later when the Patriots came back against the Falcons. That was amazing too.
That was a good game.
Because both times I was rooting for the Patriots and everybody else was rooting against them. And it created this insane energy. People were into it because they hated it.
I'll tell you.
It's this, it's a converse thing. Love and hate. It doesn't matter which. It creates an awesome energy for a party. Whether you have love or hate for a team, it makes for a great football party.
I'll tell you something. Besides the Eagles beating the Patriots last year in the Super Bowl, which was magnificent, obviously, my two other favorite Super Bowls in recent memory was the two that the Giants beat them.
Oh,
that fucking catch.
I couldn't disagree more. Those were the two worst for me. I can't stand the Giants.
They were just so fucking good. And I hate the Giants. I hate the Giants. But I fucking, that year that they beat them in their perfect season,
yeah, I was so pissed.
I loved it.
I was a big Randy Moss fan.
Much.
I've always been a huge Randy Moss fan because the Vikings were always my second team.
Yeah.
I love the Vikings. Love Randy Moss. So that perfect season, the Giants, when they beat the Pats, that secured my, not love, but my Pats respect forever.
Yeah.
Because I hate the Giants so much. I love Randy Moss. And that was a heartbreaker.
Oh, yeah.
And that bullshit pass
by
Eli Manning. Everybody forgets. Let's talk about it right now, real quick. Real quick. 20 seconds. That pass by Eli Manning to I forget who the guy catching the ball was, but
David Tyree.
correct. It was on 3rd down.
Yeah,
They were in 4-down territory.
correct.
Eli Manning was dumb to throw that pass.
I
He gets
agree.
all the credit in the world. He threw it up.
Yeah,
He
did.
does what Eli Manning does. He gets frustrated, threw the ball up on 3rd down. He had 4th down. Throw the ball away. Nobody talks about that. It was 3rd down, a dumb pass.
They would have talked about
Never
it if
should
it
have
didn't work.
happened. A smarter quarterback would not have won that Super Bowl because he wouldn't have thrown that dumb pass. Moving on. CJ, what you got?
Terrell Owens, first ballot of Hall of Fame, snub, ridiculous, and a travesty.
I agree.
Wait, why is this news now?
Because they just interviewed him about it.
So that's his quote.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, but we've been talking about this for years, so.
Super Bowl 53, government shutdown won't affect security, says FBI, Atlanta PD, and Department of Homeland Security.
Tell that to the TSA.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wondered, like, when they're going to make one of those, like, disaster movies that happens at, like, the Super Bowl. Maybe it's already happened. I don't know.
It has to have Liam Neeson in it.
Because, like,
It would be an obvious choice.
It seems, like, morose to talk about, but,
Yeah.
like,
Or John Cena.
like, the Super Bowl is our Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
John Wetteland, ex-World Series MVP,
Yes.
arrested for child sexual abuse.
Wow.
What? He played for a long time. He was with the Rangers, the Yankees. He had a very long career, I think mostly in the bullpen. He said he was an MVP.
Yes.
Interesting. I don't know.
It says he's an ex-World Series MVP.
He was a World Series MVP?
I don't know. Apparently
That's
he's
crazy.
touching kids.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Clemson Tigers celebrate title with fast food buffet at the White House.
Yeah, that happened.
That's awesome. I mean, Taylor cannot give praise to that at all because our commander-in-chief did something positive.
I can't say it's positive. I can't say I'm not mad about it. I think it's
awesome.
stupid.
It's hilarious.
I think it's
cool.
straight up symbol of how stupid and fucked up shit is now.
Exactly.
It's a circus. Oh, it's a circus.
But it's a fun circus. Burger King.
I'm not triggered by it. I saw it and I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. That was the first thing that came to my mind. It wasn't like, oh, this asshole. I was like, oh, like this is a joke, but it's not a joke, which makes it a joke.
It's good. When I was in college, if you would have given me a spread like that, I would have shit myself.
I mean,
those players
fast
probably
food
did.
nowadays. Yeah, they probably bombed up all the bathrooms in the White House.
Yeah, that aren't getting cleaned.
I would have walked into that room and been like, this is the height of luxury. Is this how you live all the time? Oh my God.
Amari Cooper, cowboy for life with $65,000 chain.
Oh my God, cowboy for life, eat a dick for life.
Yeah, let's see how this ends in the long run
Yeah.
because it never ends well for Cowboys starting or star wide receivers. He had a good run.
Yeah, he gets traded like
and I
2
can't
years.
wait. He's going to have a relaxed offseason and forget what most of his career actually was. If he's not prepared, if he doesn't bring it next year, he's screwed because Dak Prescott, not that good.
No.
So he's going to have to bring it next year. I don't think he's ready for what's coming.
50 Cent applauds Tom Brady for using many men to clap back at haters.
Ugh, I'm sure he did applaud. Probably got him a bunch of new streams or something.
What does that mean? What do you mean many men? Oh, is that a song?
That's the
That's
song.
the song.
That's the song?
Yeah.
Many, many, many men.
Wish death upon me.
Oh.
That's what the song is.
Like, do we really think that, like, Tom Brady listens to that music, like,
No.
when it is,
No.
like, spare time?
No.
So why couldn't he just freaking play a Kenny Chesney song like he would at the gym otherwise? Come on. Be real.
All right, here's the last one I have. Steph Curry, college jersey won't be retired until he graduates.
Fair. That's fair.
What?
What college is he going to?
Wait, this is
No.
like a Davidson thing?
No,
They're
he
saying-
never graduated.
Right.
He went in the draft.
Well, yeah, like
So
every
They're refusing to retire his jersey until he graduates.
like
Fair.
every NBA star currently in the sport.
Yeah, well, apparently they're getting pressure to retire his jersey, and they're saying no.
Well, they should.
No. What?
He
He only
didn't
played there.
graduate.
He only
They
played
got-
there like 1 year.
He didn't meet the rules. He didn't graduate.
He spent way longer in college than most NBA stars. Way longer.
Did he?
Yeah, because he had to. Because he was a 6'0" guy. That's.
How long was he there?
Let me see how long he was.
I bet he was actually there 4 years, maybe 3, and just didn't hit the requirements yet to graduate. But it had to be 3. It was absolutely at least 2.
'Cause what do you have to do? What do you have
But
to
most-
do professionally to get it retired? You got to retire.
Obviously, most stars are there 1 year and gone, one and done.
Right.
But I mean,
He left after his junior year.
yeah, so he spent 3 years, which is way longer than most stars in the NBA. And by the way, Hall of Famer.
But this is college.
So it's arbitrary and dumb. So you have to graduate the school. So this means you have to be shitty at basketball to be in your college Hall of Fame, because otherwise you're not going to go all 4 years. You're just not. Or
Valid point.
You're not going to be NBA star caliber. Just the way the system works. You can't penalize the guy because he made a good life decision.
It's a good valid point. It is.
So you have to graduate college to be considered an alumni.
Yeah.
So let me see if you have to graduate college to have.
No, there's no rules for Hall of Fame. You could just be in or not.
No, this is retiring his jersey.
Well, all right. That's what I meant. Like, I'm assuming that's their version of like the Hall of Fame, retiring the jersey.
Yeah.
So
Well, while he's looking up, you got it, CJ?
you just do it or you don't.
Um,
And I'm sure he's had a crazy positive impact on Davidson, because who the hell heard of Davidson before
True.
he went off
True.
in March Madness that year, whenever the hell it was.
You changed my stance on it.
Thank
Valid
you.
point. It's a valid point.
Changing minds in 2019. And you know what? Donald
It's a-
Trump, good dude.
Oh, God.
Trust me.
Yeah, just
NCAA
one at a time. One at a time.
NCAA says you do have to graduate for your jersey to qualify to be retired.
There's rules on retiring. Why
Yes.
is the NCAA having any say in this? That's ridiculous. I say
But
bullshit on
you,
that.
You can be an honored jersey, which
Honored
means
jersey.
which
Oh.
means someone could still
God.
wear your number. But
Right.
you still get your little thing up
You
in
still
the
got it up in
rafters.
the
That
top.
is so much bullshit. If you could see, my eyes hurt from how hard they were just rolling right now. There's NCAA rules on retiring jerseys. How about
Yes.
fuck you? You don't
Yeah.
have any say on whose jersey I retire. It's my school, my rules.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
But I feel like they would give him an honorary degree just if he said, I'm going to
Right.
graduate, just because they don't want any of that bullshit on campus, any of the press or anything. All right, so here's how many credits you're short. Just write a paper and we'll call it a day.
Right. Let's do go to the week and get out of here. The greatest of all time.
Of the week.
So mine, I'll tell you what, you go first. I feel like I go first a lot.
That's true.
I do. And I'm sorry about
Most of the time is because I don't have one ready.
it.
So while you're saying yours, I think of mine. But mine's easy. I've had this locked and loaded. It's Nick Foles. And all the doubters going back to last year, and they would love to point out this game and that game and say why he's not for real. And which is insane. He had one of the greatest quarterback seasons of all time when he threw 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. The greatest percentage of all time. Touchdown to interception ratio. But last year, people love to point to the Atlanta game, the first game of the playoffs, and still he threw for, I think, close to 300 yards. But he had like maybe 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I forget what it was. Wasn't that impressive. Didn't score a ton of points. Came down to the last throw. Matt Ryan just missed. But they forget the situation. I was at the game. And yeah, it's anecdotal. but it matters. It was cold as shit. It was windy as hell. It was insane. You look at both quarterback stats. Matt Ryan, year before, MVP candidate. Might have won. I don't remember. Great quarterback, played just as good, maybe a little bit less statistically than Foles. Everyone wants to shit on Foles for how he played that game. Nobody talks about Matt Ryan. Nobody would have had a great quarterback game that game. The conditions were insane. So all things being equal, Nick Foles hasn't had a bad game in a very long time. Now, early this season when the team was not ready to play, yeah, he didn't play so well. Every game that mattered, every game I can remember that mattered, that Nick Foles has ever played, pretty damn good game, including the Saints game. 2 interceptions, true. The one at the end, you can't really put on him. He's a good quarterback. He's getting railroaded right now, which, oddly enough, because of his age, he's going to be 30 years old next year, which means he's got at least 5 more years. NFL running back wise, you get 5 more years out of a guy, that's a whole career. So I don't know why everyone is so down on Nick Foles, but if you got any sense about you, if you were the Giants, the Jaguars, like I've said, if you're smart, invest in this guy.
Yeah.
How could it go wrong? I mean, really? Look at it, like all the mistakes the Browns made over the years at quarterback. Probably the best quarterback they've had since like 1980 was Jeff Garcia. Like that 1 year and a half he played kind of okay, which is insane to think, but it's true.
Yeah.
Until, what they got going on right now. All you need is a guy like Nick Foles. He's 30. Yeah, you're not going to have him for 15 years. But for 5, the Jaguars could really put something good together.
Yeah.
He's my go to the week because when it's all said and done, Ray Didinger said this, one of the most respected reporters in the NFL and in Philadelphia for sure. He could be Joe Montana. He could be that guy in the clutch. And the Jaguars, all they got to do is say, okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. That's all it takes. So whether the Eagles trade him or Foles just signs there, hopefully we trade him to the Jaguars and get something for him. But either way, they're insane if they don't say okay.
Yeah. I agree. My go to the week this week is the Philadelphia Eagles fans. I was very impressed with the way that they handled the loss on Sunday as opposed to the way that the Bears fans handled their loss the week before. I think that Philadelphia Eagles or Philadelphia fans in general get a bad rep nationally just because of throwing snowballs at Santa Claus, which, by the way, there was fans, Andy Reid was yelling at players in Arrowhead Stadium over the weekend for throwing snowballs on the field. So it's, whatever. But
it happens.
It happens. But my point is that, CG, I know what story you're looking for. There's obviously people that didn't handle the loss very well.
Like Kristen Gaskins.
Who did what?
Who allegedly assaulted her girlfriend and put a dog in the microwave after the Eagles lost.
Which the dog is fine, by the way.
Yes, the girlfriend fought back and protected the dog until the cops got there.
Do we know what the dog did, though? We don't know what the dog might have done or said.
The dog was apparently a Saints fan.
But Jackie tagged me in a story. It's a letter from a second grader to Alshon Jeffrey. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's very heartwarming. And there's a number of people posting on social media and things of that nature in support of Alshon Jeffrey. A lot of people, Doug Peterson and a lot of other people in the locker room were very supportive of him. And I mean, the man dropped only 3 passes all year, so I wasn't all that mad about it. It's a shame it didn't work out, but Eagles fans really held it together this year. And I don't know if it's because of the fact that we won a Super Bowl last year. I wouldn't call it like that we got soft or that the Eagles fans got soft, but it definitely was a little bit more of a relaxed vibe when they lost this year in comparison to other years. So it was just, I give it to them this week. It was a good one, and it was a good season. So
Good job by us.
it's tough to watch at times, but and we were total homers this episode, but I don't really care. It was the Eagles wrap up. That's what this episode was. It was the Eagles wrap up, and we didn't talk basketball like I wanted to, but we're going to talk some NBA basketball next week. That's my mission. I'm all sixtered up. Total homer. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. All about the NBA right now because there's nothing to watch as far as Flyers are concerned. They're garbage.
I'm more ready for baseball.
Yeah, baseball's heating up. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen.
Spring training's coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about Bryce Harper going on, coming to the Phils, but no major announcements
I believe the quote's very optimistic.
Oh,
Right.
we should have T-Mac back on.
yet. We should do something like that. So,
Which is insane because we had him on like 3 months ago. And I remember we wanted to get him on quick because we didn't want to get him on after we signed one of these guys.
yeah.
Because I kept thinking like, oh shit, I don't want to schedule him too late to where we already have the guy signed. I want to get his opinion beforehand. And now here we are like 2 or 3 months later and
Still nothing.
still nobody.
Yeah. We'll see. But good job tonight, guys.
Thank you.
It's good to be back with you. And again, Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for checking us out. Listen to Let's Talk About It tomorrow and Might Be Brews on Friday. It's a full week of podcasts on the Might Be News Network. We got a lot of interesting things that we're working on.
Might be snooze. Don't forget, might be snooze. We got some good sleep stuff coming up. It's going to be awesome.
I can't wait for Might Be Screws.
Yeah,
Might be screws
as well.
is great. Oh, dude, you don't even know.
You don't even know.
Wood screws. I'm just going to leave it there.
Whole episode.
Wood screws, that's a tease for you right there.
It's a tease.
Wood screws.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you guys next time.